The woman had just encountered a car accident. But little did she know, she would witness a terrifying sight. Countless bees surged into the sky, forming an incredible tornado in midair. The driver, surrounded by bees, desperately tried to call for help, but within moments, he collapsed. The woman, frightened, attempted to flee the scene in her car. However, it was too late. The bees had blocked the exhaust pipe, trapping them inside, and to make matters worse, these were no ordinary bees, they were highly aggressive killer bees. Panicking, the woman immediately dialed 911, and soon, firefighters arrived. Even the most experienced firefighters were stunned by the sight before them. They decided to treat the situation as a hazardous material leak and prepared to handle it accordingly. The driver, who had collapsed earlier, had already stopped breathing. The firefighters planned to use a CO2 fire extinguisher to drive the bees away, but it had no effect. Next, the team leader attempted to use a high-pressure water hose, but the bees quickly blocked the intake. He then requested foam fire trucks for backup, but they wouldn't arrive for another 20 minutes. The woman and her daughter couldn't wait that long. Under the dispatcher's guidance, the woman turned off the air conditioning vents. Still, a few bees managed to crawl inside. Normally, if they stayed still, the bees wouldn't attack. But one bee landed on the little girl's face, and she couldn't hold back, swatting it away. The moment she did, a large welt appeared on her face, and because she was severely allergic to bee stings, she began to have a severe allergic reaction, struggling to breathe. The mother quickly injected her daughter's thigh with adrenaline, but in the chaos, she too was stung by a bee. The situation worsened. Meanwhile, another driver in a nearby truck was also severely stung, and firefighters noticed his airway seemed blocked, with a bee even flying out of his mouth. They shined a flashlight and found his mouth was filled with bees likely inhaled during the chaos. The firefighters immediately used a suction device to remove the bees blocking his airway, saving his life. The woman, also stung, was having a severe allergic reaction as well. Firefighters worked frantically, brushing bees off the car, but the situation was dire and the foam truck wouldn't arrive for another 8 minutes. Suddenly, one of the firefighters remembered that smoke could drive away bees, so they used a blower to direct smoke toward the car. The dispatcher then remembered there was leftover medication in the syringe and guided the woman to open it up. Sure enough, inside was a small syringe. However, just as they were about to proceed, the woman fainted from the stress. Thankfully, with the dispatcher's encouragement and instructions, the little girl was able to inject the medication into her mother. Meanwhile, the firefighters used the smoke to successfully drive the bees away. Soon after, the mother and daughter were rescued and taken to the hospital. Just when they thought the ordeal was over, a loud explosion erupted from the truck. A swarm of killer bees shot into the sky, and they began flying toward the city. The firefighters' work was far from finished. Experts used radar to track the bees' movement, but by evening, they had lost all traces of them. It turned out that as the temperature dropped at night, the bees had found a place to hide under the roof of an exhibition hall, where a perfume launch was scheduled for the next day. The next morning, while preparing for the event, the boss sprayed perfume on his assistant. Unknowingly, this triggered the bees, and they immediately swarmed toward the crowd. The assistant, overwhelmed by the scent, became the prime target, and in a panic, she jumped into the pool. The boss immediately called 911, but when the assistant surfaced from the water, she was attacked by the bees. At this rate, she was in serious danger. Fortunately, the dispatcher advised the boss to use a garden hose. With the hose, the assistant held on until the firefighters arrived. As the firefighters were at a loss for what to do, they suddenly recalled that bees were repelled by the scent of perfume. They quickly sprayed a firefighter with perfume, and he attracted the bees away from the assistant, successfully drawing them away from the pool. The assistant was saved, but because she had been stung multiple times, she slipped into a coma. The bee stings were still releasing venom, and it would take hours to remove all the stingers. The firefighters then remembered that tape could be used to pull out the stingers. This method worked, and they managed to remove all the stingers, saving the assistant's life. Inside the tent, a professional beekeeper was called in to capture the remaining bees attached to the firefighters, safely containing them in a container.